Good morning, one and all. Thank everyone for being here with us today. I welcome all the students across the great nation. I am Professor Anupam Samuntre, your event host, moderator, and voice. Let me take you through the process of how we will conduct the webinar today. Our guest will address the batch for 90 minutes. First 80 minutes will be knowledge sharing, and last 10 minutes will be question and answers. Students are encouraged to put relevant questions in the chat box regarding the topic. Today's session will be the second session by Ms. Saniya Mane. Our first session with ma'am was on ice breaking and art of introduction. We all know that ma'am is a co-founder and trainer at AHA Outbound. Today's session would be on communication skills. Some of the points that would be covered would be what is communication, identify the right channel of communication, communicating under pressure, golden silence, and body language. Ma'am loves people, interacting with new faces, understanding the way they behave and their perspectives. She works with people and helps organizations skyrocket their sales, productivity, and performance through her highly engaging and impactful experiential trainings and team building programs. Although we already had ma'am's introduction before, I would still like to remind you on few points. Ma'am's company AHA Outbound aims at transforming employees into leaders and decision makers. Some of the experiential approaches that they use are art, adventure, drama, etc. Ms. Saniya Mane has been instrumental in training over more than 2,000 corporate employees and over 1,500 plus students on team building, communication skills, change and conflict management, presentation skills, and leadership skills. I now request ma'am to take over the session and share her teachings to our young minds. Ma'am, please.
Thank you so much, Anupam sir, again for the great introduction. Hello everybody, hi students. Thank you so much first of all for being so attentive and interactive in the last session. Today's session is also going to be interactive just like the last one, though we will have a different approach towards learning today. Before we go on to before we start with today's topic, I would like to discuss a few things from the last session. So if you guys remember, I had shared an assessment sheet with you last time towards the end of the session. And we've got some great responses on these assessment sheets, and some of you have asked some questions as well. So let's just let's just go through your responses. Let's see what some of you all have had to say. Let's just discuss some of the answers that we've got, and let me just tell you how you can probably improvise on your existing answers. Right. So I of course will be masking out a few details from your answers, but let's take a look at some of the great answers that I have received from you all. And also we will be looking at some of the answers which I think need a little bit of I would say improvement, and you can do a little better with it the next time you go about writing that about yourself. Okay, so I'm just going to randomly pick up answers from y'all. So the first, okay, let's go with this. The question was, introduce yourself to your fellow classmates. Now we have somebody, I'm going to read out his answer. He says, hello everyone, I am a mechanical engineer. Since my birth, I always stay happy, and that's why my parents named me ABC, which means a person who is full of happiness. So yeah, I am ABC, I am 22, I live in a town in Madhya Pradesh, and I'm pretty sure that you've heard this name before. It's a historical city. I completed my engineering from XYZ University in MP. If I talk about my hobbies, then I love to listen to music, watching movies, and web series apart from the other hobbies. But I am also a foodie. I'm a pure vegetarian. If I tell you about my ultimate goal of life, then I want to work for the environment so that our generations can lead a good and healthy life. So yeah, this is all about me. Okay, so so he's written this introduction in a way which he would like to say it out loud. So yes, full points for that. This informal way should be the way in which you should be probably introducing yourself to your fellow classmates. Now, the same student, he has crafted his LinkedIn bio, but now the thing here is when I had said that you have to introduce yourself to your fellow classmates, and the maximum use of characters was 600 characters, and your LinkedIn bio could have around 2000 characters. So what this guy has done here is his introduction, which is of 600 characters, has become longer than his LinkedIn bio. His LinkedIn bio is just 3 words or two sentences. So I have one more student who has written a great LinkedIn bio. We will go there. But okay, I'm just going to read out his LinkedIn bio so that he realizes that who I'm talking about and how he can work on it better. Okay, so he says, my name is ABC. I am a mechanical and automation engineer. Apart from my degree, I have done internships related to this field like CNC machines, AutoCAD. I am a hardworking person and I have a passion to do work. Currently, I'm pursuing PGDM course from IIEBM Pune, a batch of 21-23. Okay, so of course, I am sure you must have realized if I'm reading out your uh, response. So you need to elaborate a little more on how you will benefit a company if you're going there for an internship or if you're looking up for a job. You need to write down what makes you different from the rest of the people. So in today's session, we will be looking at that. Okay. Then there was another great response. Okay, yeah. So, okay, the question was that your friend is looking for an internship at a marketing firm. Your cousin happens to be the CEO of Syntech Marketing Solutions based in Mumbai. How will you introduce your friend to your cousin? Who can offer him a great summer internship. So the answer, one of the answers that I've got is my friend is a skilled person and completed the internship provided by college. He is a college topper and participated in 2 experiences abroad, one in London and one in Cape Town. He is skilled in communication, marketing, and human relations and modern selling culture. My friend will surely prove himself to be the best for your company. Now, this can be a good introduction if you are writing to your cousin who can provide your friend with an internship. However, if you are supposed to introduce face to face, introduce your friend to your cousin face to face, then it needs to have a different approach. So, okay, so there is one more student who has written a great introduction wherein he is trying to introduce his friend to his cousin who can offer him an internship. So, I'm going to read that out for you. So, he says that, hi brother, meet my best friend Abhishek. Abhishek, this is my cousin Ramesh, the CEO of an XYZ solution company in Mumbai. Brother, my friend is meritorious and currently he is pursuing PGDM from IIEBM Pune. At present, he is in the first year and is looking for a summer internship in a reputed organization in marketing domain to have some practical exposure and gain some experience. He has good negotiation, communication, interpersonal and leadership skills. And in our graduation college days, he was the leader of our cultural committee, who's also responsible for making all the arrangement. So, brother, I will be highly grateful if you can spare some time to have a conversation with my friend. And if you find that he is eligible for the internship, please do provide him the opportunity. So, I think kudos to this answer. Very well thought of, very well framed, and right to the point. No beating around the bush. An introduction, then coming straight to the point, and then also asking for a call to action. That we call it the CTA. That okay, introduction to Dedi, but this is something that I'm expecting from you. So could you please do that? So very well done, very well thought of. So kudos to you for that. Then okay, then there was another okay, yeah. So the same student, I'm going to read out his elevator pitch for you all. Again, very well thought of, very well put. So he says that, hi everyone. My name is so and so. It's nice to meet you. I have a background in core electrical engineering. I believe in innovation, ability to take challenges, versatility, leadership, and good communication skills is the backbone of a successful manager. And so I am shifting my career from technical to business management since I feel that technical and business management are the most sought after professions in the fourth industrial revolution. Very nice. Now, this introduction also talks about, how well read this person is, how what he thinks about the future. He knows that there is going to be a fourth industrial revolution. He knows that, what are the things that are required to be a successful manager. He knows, his future. He knows what he wants from life, and he also knows what he believes in, what are his core belief systems. And that's exactly what he puts forth in front of you all. So very nicely done, very nicely prepared. And he also asks that he wants to learn more about the process of writing an elevator pitch and how to craft the LinkedIn bio. So we will be looking at that in today's session. So I won't really waste time on that right now. We'll do that once we begin the session today. Okay, now moving on to another response. Yes. So this is a response to the question that says, introduce yourself to your fellow classmates. So she says, hi everyone, hope everybody is doing well. And we'll all be better once we start to know each other in a comfortable manner. So very good. You're putting out yourself as an optimist and somebody who's friendly and somebody who knows that all of us will sail through these times together. So very optimistic. Very good. So let me take the initiative to introduce myself to everyone. This is ABC, a person who tries her best to study with charisma, along with some entertainment with everyone all together, so that we can grow together our ideas and our life for the next 2 years. Okay, I think what she's trying to say here that, she's really looking forward to spending the next 2 years with her classmates and everything. But one suggestion would be if you can just try to articulate your thoughts in a finer way. So think what you want to write, put all your thoughts together, and then try to frame sentences. It will just reduce the chances of creating confusion to the people around you. Okay, so try to spend a little more time on articulating your thoughts or extrapolating your thoughts. Okay, so again, she asks that suggestions on crafting a bio. I will help you with that in today's session. Okay, now there was one more question which said that how will you start your conversation with your new roommate whom you've never met before? So this is a very interesting approach. She says, hi, my name is ABC. May I know your name? I am your new roommate. I heard you moved in today, so I decided to introduce myself and check on you if you need any help arranging your stuff. Very good. So did you like the room? By the way, where are you from? If you are not familiar with this neighborhood, then I'll be happy to show you around. So very good, amazing way of breaking the ice, introducing yourself, making the other person feel comfortable, making them realize that, okay, they have somebody to, fall back on. So very well done on this question. Okay, crafting your LinkedIn bio. Let's see what she has written. She says, my name is ABC. I'm pursuing PGDM from Indus Business School, Pune. I have completed undergraduation in Bachelor's of Science, and I have volunteered to help village people in the NSS camp. I'm a positive and responsible person with a never-ending urge to learn and grow. I'm focused and determined to accomplish the best possible results for any given responsibility. Very good. Now, here I would suggest that why don't you extrapolate a little bit on how you have helped the people during your NSS camp days. It will just help the other people understand that yes, you have a certain empathetic side to your nature. In which ways did you help people, and how will you use this experience in the corporate world? So if you're going out to apply for a job, how is this experience of helping people that you've done back in your college days going to help people in the future? So try to talk a little more about it, try to describe a little more about it. Now again, in your LinkedIn bio also, it makes it actually helps if you write a little bit about where you're from, what is what is your background, like I mentioned. If you have somebody similar in your family, in your relatives, maybe your elder sibling who has who has probably taken the same path that you are trying to take, and they have been able to establish themselves, they have become really successful in the way that they have taken, you can talk a little more about that you've grown up watching them, how they have succeeded in life and how they made the most out of it, and how you relate to that particular person in your family, or it could be your neighbor whom you look up to as an inspiration or a motivation. So all these things, try to include a few of these things in your LinkedIn bios too. Right. So we'll have a different maybe session or something on this if needed, but these are a few of the things which you can really talk about in your LinkedIn bios. So that's about it. In the true or false questions, I think all of you, in the MCQ type questions also, all of you have kind of answered the most sensible questions. So I won't really waste time discussing on that. Now, what I have realized after looking at your assessments is that you guys still need some help in crafting your elevator pitch or your introduction. So let's do that in today's session. And as then we go forward, we'll take a pause and try to articulate those things. Okay. So I'm just going to start the presentation for today. Yes, perfect. So as all of you know, we will be speaking about communication skills in the today's session. As sir said, let's not again waste time on the introduction, but I'd just like to tell you that I'm a certified communications trainer by a global communications coach whose name is Lorraine Wiseman. And that's why this is something which is extremely, this topic is very, very close to my heart. And I always tell people that if you are great communicators, you are out there and you will be able to make a mark for yourself. But before we begin today's session, I just want you all to put into the chat box, if you can, if anybody can tell me the long form of these letters, WIIFM. Have you heard of this before? And if you have, then just put it in the chat box. What do you mean by that? WIIFM. Okay, WIIFM means what's in it for me. So just to give you an index or a peep into the session today, that what is it that you will have in it for you towards the end of the session. You'll be able to learn what is communication, what are the different styles and channels of communication, when do you need to be silent, how do you communicate under pressure, what are the features, advantages, benefits, what are the do's and don'ts for a great communicator, how do you present ideas, how does your visual appearance matter in today's world. So this is all that we will be learning in today's session. So basically your takeaways for today. Now, what is communication? I am not going to tell you what is communication. I want you all to tell me what it is. And to do that, I have put a link in the chat box. You need to go to this link. It's called menti.com, menti.com. Once you go there, they'll ask you for a code. And the code that you need to put in is 12884547. So go ahead guys, go to menti.com and use the code 12884547. It's right here on the screen, and you will be able to see this question, what is communication, and you will have a couple of boxes below that. So I just want you all to put in your answers. It could be one word, two words. Don't write long sentences. Just put in the words that come to your mind when you hear the word communication. Let's see what is it that you guys have got, and just submit it once you punch in those words. Which are the words that come to your mind when you hear communication? Okay, as you start submitting, you'll be able to see your responses on the screen. So come on. Okay, can we have some more? What do you think is communication? It could be anything. It could be talking. It could be hearing, it could be a dialogue. Come on, I'm giving you out keywords. Expression, articulation, talking. Okay. What more? What else? Okay, somebody's saying it's a two-way process. It involves a listener, exchange of ideas. It helps building relations. Okay, very good. Whoever has put in it's a two-way process. Very good. Exchange of feelings, thought exchange, listener, transmission of data. Okay. Exchange of words, thoughts, feelings, ideas, expressing yourself, interaction. All right, great. Good. Keep your answers coming in, and let's see if you have anything else, any new answers, that any new words that come to your mind. So, what is communication? Okay, we'll revisit this probably towards the end of the session. So, what is communication? I've got a few answers from all of you. You're saying it's a two-way process, exchange of thoughts, ideas, information, interpersonal skills, transmission of data, conveying, listening, expression, interaction, and all of that. Very good. So what exactly is communication? It is a combination of all these things. You guys are absolutely right. Now let's take a look at general statistics. Now this was a survey that was conducted by the Columbia University in New York, and they found out that there were about 4 out of 40% of the people, 4 out of 10 people who thought that good communication is having good English. Then there were 6 out of 10 people who said that good communication means giving good suggestions, helping out other people. Then there were 8 out of 10 people who thought that people who are friendly, who are approachable, they are good communicators. Okay, so this is a general statistics. So let's take a little bit of a philosophical approach to understand what exactly is communication. Okay, so there was a Greek philosopher whose name was Aristotle. I'm sure you must have heard this name for sure. And what he says is that he defines communication with the help of 3 words. Now, what are those words? He says that communication is a combination of ethos, pathos, and logos. Okay, so these are the 3 Greek words which, according to him, put together the entire concept of communication. So don't worry, we are not here for a philosophical session. So I'm going to break down these 3 things for you, which will help you become great communicators. Okay. So let's take a look at these one by one. Now, what is ethos? Ethos means credibility. So what is ethos? What happens in ethos is you establish your credibility. Now, how do you establish your credibility? With the help of 3 questions, the answers to 3 questions. Question number 1 is, who are you? Okay. Number 2 is, what is your credibility? And number 3 is, why should somebody listen to you? Okay. How do you establish your credibility? Once again, who are you? What is your credibility? And why should someone listen to you? All right. Now, if I have to answer this question, I would say that my name is Saniya Mane. I am a globally certified trainer, and I am here to help you I'm here to help you become a better communicator, right? So this can be so in Hindi, if we are just talking in our day-to-day language, कि तुम कौन हो, तुम क्या बोल रहे हो, और तुम कहाँ से आए हो, right? So these are the 3 questions which will help you establish your credibility. Okay. Then moving on to the next part is your pathos. Pathos means emotion. Now, this is the time you need to connect with the person emotionally. Okay. So how will you do that? By answering the following 3 questions. Is that, why should the other person care? Why should they care to even talk to you? Second is, how are you going to connect with them emotionally? What is the impact that you are going to create on the other person? And number 3 is, how are you going to get your message across to the other person and make it important to them? Okay, this is a little bit complex, but when you put all these things together, your LinkedIn bio, your absolutely any bio is sorted, it's taken care of. Okay, let's revisit pathos once again. Number one is, why should I care, or why should the other person care about you, or care about talking to you? Number two is, how are you going to connect with that person emotionally? And number three is, how are you going to get your point or your message across to the other person, and how are you going to make it important for them? Okay, so to give you an example, the way I speak to people who I'm trying to propose maybe a training program or an interaction, is I tell them that I have a value proposition that will help your company save money and perform better. We work by understanding your company's psyche. So what did I say? That I have a value proposition that will help your company save money. Now, when you say something like this, then the other person will automatically start listening to you, because you are giving them a point to ponder upon. अगर वो सोचेगा कि मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, why should I care? You should care because I am trying to help your organization save money and improve the productivity of the existing people who are working with you. And how am I going to connect with you emotionally? Because I'm telling you that we are not just somebody who will go by the books, but we are people who work by understanding your company's psyche. We understand what is going on in your company, how your people behave, why do they behave in a certain way, and then we will help you with the solutions to save money and perform better. Right? So again, you need to connect, you need to hit the heart of the person that you're speaking with. You need to try to connect with the emotional side of the person, right? And the third thing is, of course, logic. Nothing makes sense without logic. So the other person will ask you that, oh, ठीक है, आप बोल तो रहे हो कि आप हमारा पैसा बचाओगे, आप हमारी productivity बढ़ाओगे, but how are you going to do that? How are you going to make it happen? What are the channels or means that you are going to use to make this happen? Okay, and how are you going to help me understand to prove your point? So just like sir said in my introduction, that I help people to achieve their organizational growth. I help them achieve, become better individuals, better leadership, better leaders, better decision makers, with the help of my impactful and engaging experiential training programs. So here, what will be my so this is how I will put my logic in front of the other person. So this is what should answer questions like, तुम कैसे करोगे, हम तो सालों से ये करते आ रहे हैं, हमें पॉसिबल नहीं हुआ, आप कैसे अचानक आके you'll make a change in the organization or change in the way people are doing things. आप में ऐसी क्या खास बात है? So this is where you absolutely hit the nail, that आप में ऐसी क्या खास बात है? What is your USP? So if you put in all these things, all these three things together, you will have the best introduction that one can ever have, be it on any platform, be it in any medium, be it formally, informally, whatever it is. You just need to get in all these things together. So I'm just going to quickly revise ethos, pathos, and logos for you. How do you establish your credibility? By answering, who are you? What is your credibility? And why should somebody listen to you? That takes care of establishing your credibility part, or your ethos, or the first part of your introduction or your communication when you're starting a brand new communication with somebody that you don't know. Second part comes in where you have to kind of link or get attached to the other person's emotion. You have to hit the emotion. So it should answer again 3 questions. Why should the other person care? How are you going to connect with them emotionally? And how are you going to get your message across to them and make it important to them? Why should they listen to you? And third is logic, wherein you need to stress on the fact that how are you going to make a particular thing happen, and what are the channels or means or modes of communication that you are going to use to make the other person understand your point of view. So you have these three things in place and you're sorted for life in order to start a communication or to introduce yourself, or somebody asked writing your bios. You just need to have these three things in place. Okay. Now, in order to get the other person's attention, there is a way in which you need to do it. Okay. एक तरीका होता है जिसे हम कहते हैं process of communication. Okay. So here you need to, just like we discussed last time in crafting your elevator pitch, you need to make your point in less than a minute so that you get the next 20-30 minutes of the other person to create an impact that you actually want on the person's head, heart, and logic. Okay, now all of this entire, so I told you about this entire introduction of mine. How will I speak to people and how will I, put myself forth? But now that I have to crunch all of this in just 30 to 45 seconds, somebody asked that, ma'am, could you give us an example of, making your elevator pitch? So the way I generally have my elevator pitch is that my name is Saniya Mane from AHA Outbound. I help organizations skyrocket their sales productivity and performance through our experiential trainings, through our highly engaging and impactful experiential trainings and team building programs. I would like to have a word with you and tell you how you can save money for your organization as well as maximize the productivity of your existing employees. So if you give them, and then of course there is a call to action, that what would be the right way in which I can connect with you. So always let the other person know that what is it that you're trying to say, and also give them a CTA at the end of your introduction, that you can reach me on, this is my email ID, or this is my contact details, or could you please share your contact details so that I can get in touch with you. So this is an entire process of communication that you guys need to follow. Now, before we move on to what exactly is the process of communication, somebody has written in the chat box that communication is the process in which two or more people take part to understand each other. Perfectly well. Now, just to take this a little forward, I would want to ask you that, again, put it in the chat box, that is there any person that you can think of, or, you're going somewhere and then you see this one particular person who irritates you like anything. I mean, you see that person and then you say, yaar, aa gaya, abhi ye bahut bore karega, abhi ye bahut time khayega, and that kind of an expression. So what is it? I'm sure you must be having at least one person in your life जिसके बारे में आप ऐसे सोचते होगे, यार अभी ये आ गया, अभी बहुत बोर करेगा. So what is that quality of that person which irritates you? I want you to put it in the chat box. What is that one irritating quality of the person with whom you are like absolutely turned off? अभी ये आ गया, बहुत बोर करेगा, चलो यहाँ से, मुझे नहीं रुकना है यहाँ पे. Come on, put it in the chat box. What is that one quality of a person that irritates you the most? कौन सी चीज है जो किसी और के बारे में आपको बहुत ज्यादा इरिटेट करती है? इलॉजिकल कम्युनिकेशन. ओके, कि अमी इधर क्या बात चल रही है और आप कुछ अलग ही बात कर रहे हो. आप थोड़ा तो लॉजिक लगाओ, थोड़ा तो कॉमन सेंस यूज करो. Illogical, okay, senseless talks, absolutely. I mean, people don't really understand what is happening around you, you. What is the I would say, what is the decorum of the situation around you? बस ऐसे ही senselessly कुछ भी बात करेंगे. Then okay, indirect way of talking without actually coming to the point. लोगों को आदत होती है इधर उधर की बातें करते रहो, but at the point you are like वो थ्री इडियट्स में जैसे one of their professors says कि भाई कहना क्या चाहते हो. And I mean 10 मिनट निकल जाते हैं and you don't understand कि what is the other person exactly trying to say. Attitude, yes, attitude is a major put off. If you come in with a stinky attitude, people will not want to talk to you. Boasting, yes, one who brags or boasts unnecessarily कि यार मैं तो ऐसे आता हूँ, मैं तो मर्सिडीज में आता हूँ, मैं तो महलों में रहता हूँ. People don't want to know about all of that. यार, I mean, other topic कुछ और ही चल रहा है, and then there is this habit of people who are कुछ अलग ही बात हो रही है, and they have to give their point of view on every single topic, even if it is relevant to them or if it is even not relevant to them. They will have to give their unwanted opinion on everything. So yes, these people are extremely irritating. People who are judgmental, absolutely right. Unnecessarily, people have this habit of judging the other person. So we know of this proverb since childhood that don't judge a book by its cover. So why do we judge people just the way, just by looking at them? A lot of people have this habit that, they very quickly they judge the other person. So all these things can be extremely irritating when when you're trying to have a communication with one person or in a group of people, right? So why does this happen? Because they don't follow the simple process of communication. Now, what is the process of communication? Very simple. There is one sender, there is one receiver. One person is speaking, the other person is listening, or there's an audience who is listening. Now, how does this process happen? It can happen in person, it can happen over a call, it can happen over a webinar like the one we are having right now, it can happen over email, a text message, an SMS, whatever. So these are the different channels through which the various types of communications that can happen. However, when there is a communication happening, there can be certain background noises, there can be some distractions. So all of this, such distractions or interruptions can actually, entirely, no matter how well you're trying to have a communication, they can absolutely ruin the entire experience of communication. And that is why it becomes extremely essential for you to pick the right medium of communication or pick up the most efficient mode of communication. Just to give you an example, these days, everywhere there is a massive network issue. A lot of times you cannot reach the other person. The voice of the other person is breaking because of low network area. So what do we say कि यार रुक मैं normal call नहीं मैं तेरे को WhatsApp call करता हूँ. So probably if you're in a good Wi-Fi area, I'll be able to hear you better. So what are you doing here? You are choosing the right mode of communication with least distractions, right? So that is exactly what normal communication is. But this is very easy now. This has started coming to us very naturally. But when you are in a formal setting, it becomes very, very essential for you to find the right channel of communication. And so how do you choose that right channel of communication? By keeping three things in mind. First is the purpose of communication. Is it a formal, informal, official, a very, very casual communication? So you need to figure out what is the purpose of your communication in order to find the right channel. Second is what is the impact that you want to create? Do you want to get the other person just interested in you? Do you want to apologize? Do you want to inform them? Do you want to order them? Do you want to delegate something? Do you want to apologize? Do you want them to feel good? Do you want to motivate them? You want to say sorry? You want them to feel guilty? You want them to feel bad? You need to identify that what is the impact that you want to create before you start the communication with the other person. And third, what is your takeaway, or what is the other person's takeaway from the communication? Why are you having this conversation with them? Do you want to have a meeting with that person? Do you want to sell them something? Do you want their feedback? Do you want to start a proposition, or do you want to start a new relation? You want to update them on your work? You want to create an impression? What is it that you want to achieve, right? So if you have these three things set in front of you, then it becomes very easy to choose the right channel. Now, what are these channels that I'm talking about? So the channels can be face-to-face, a text message, an email, an audio call, a video call, a webinar interaction wherein, you guys have limited scope of interacting with me. What is the channel that you're trying to choose here, and how do you choose How do you know that, okay, this is going to be the best channel to get this point of mine across to the other person? Okay. So now all these channels are equally important, but let's see, how do you choose the perfect one? Or why is each of this channel used? So let's begin with a face-to-face interaction. When you're doing a face-to-face interaction, what are the few things that you need to keep in mind? Is if you're entering somebody's cabin or a chamber or maybe a faculty room or somebody else's room, first thing you do is knock. You greet the other person with smile. It has to be a genuine smile and not a sly smile and just ki dikhane ke liye smile kar diya. No, it has to be a nice, genuine, gentle smile. You just the way we discussed last time, use an icebreaker. Tell them that it's a pleasure meeting them. Thank them for your time. Thank them for giving you an appointment to meet with them. Sit up straight with your chin up, your head up. Don't fidget with things around you. Don't use too much of oil, perfume, powder, because people don't want to remember you with your strong fragrance. They want to remember you as an individual. So keep all of those things in check and study the other person before meeting them. If you know that you are going to have an interview with a panel of people, try to probably know more about that company, that organization, that institute who's going to hire you or probably give you an admission. And ask around people, ask your seniors, ask people in the same fraternity a little tips on the people that you will be interacting with. So this is about face to face. When you are doing a communication on text or WhatsApp or SMS, so you need to understand that this is a communication that is used for a constant back and forth communication. Okay, so you can use these for sending reminders as casual hi hello messages, a casual conversation, maybe short information. You need to follow up with something, you need to thank somebody, you want to congratulate somebody, but also make sure that you don't spam the other person with messages, especially when you, not with your friends, that's okay, but when you are communicating with somebody from the fraternity or somebody senior, all of us have this I would say habit of you type hi or hey, send, how are you, send, listen, I was thinking, send. I mean, 4 मैसेज लग जाते हैं आपको पॉइंट पे आने के लिए. Okay, a lot of us do this. I'm sure those of you who do this must be smiling right now. Even I used to do it earlier. But trust me, when you are speaking with somebody senior, with a faculty member or, like a mentor figure, you need to avoid spamming the other person. Try to keep your message as tight, as crisp, as short as possible, and try not to spam them with a lot of notifications, because लोग irritate हो जाते हैं 2-3 messages एक के बाद एक आने के बाद, right? So try to keep your information, your message very concise and very crisp. Then comes email, which is a very, very formal method of communication. Now, emails are of course used to transmit large amount of data. So if you have to write a formal letter, which cannot happen over a text message, that is when you move to an email, large amount of specific data. Now, okay, again, when you're writing emails, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. If whether you're replying to all, whether you are replying to one person, who are you keeping in CC, who are you keeping in BCC, what are the attachments that you're joining. A lot of times it happens that you write it in the email that please find attached profile or whatever, and you just simply forget to attach the attachment, right? To club the attachment. So the first thing that you need to do if you're sending something as an attachment, as soon as before you begin writing your email, the first thing you need to do is you need to attach your file, and only then go on drafting your email, so that this makes sure that you don't forget to link the attachment to your email, because then it gives out a very bad impression to the other person कि इसने ऐसे ही भेज दिया email बिना सोचे समझे. So that doesn't really give a very good impression of yours. So always attach your files first hand and then write that please find attached file or whatever. Keep your emails to the point. Don't write stories in an email. People do not like to read longer emails. So again, if there is a large amount of data that needs to be given, put it in a Word document, attach it to your email, and then send it. In your email body, you should not write a lot of text. If you're writing it, put it point wise. Okay, people do not have a lot of time to read your long emails. Of course, make sure that you are polite. Your tone is extremely polite, because a lot of times what happens in written communication is that you don't understand the emotion or the tone in which the other person is trying to put forth a certain point. And that's why try to be very crisp. Use the softwares like Grammarly, which also tells you how your text sounds to the other person. Is it polite? Is it informal? So you have all these tools absolutely ready-made right now. So make use of them when you're trying to have a communication. Always keep in mind that emails are permanent. They are always going to be there. So always pay attention what you're writing down, because emails are official, formal modes of communication. If you are committing to something over email, it is as good as putting it on a stamp paper or a contract. Okay, so don't boast, don't brag, don't over promise, don't over commit things in a written communication, specifically in a written communication, because the other person has proof of what you had promised. Okay, now the confusion, like I said, about the emails can be that the other person cannot judge your tone or your emotion with which you are writing the emails. So try to stay away from sarcasm, humor, as much as possible while you are writing an email. Then comes a phone call or an audio call, which is more of a personal communication, which serves all purposes. Now, of course, it is the quickest and the fastest mode of communication as compared to all these things. So they can be used for emergencies, for urgencies, for follow-ups. But before picking up a call and simply calling somebody, always ask the other person what would be a good time to speak to you. Or if you are calling them directly, always ask them that, hello ma'am, hello sir, is this a good time to speak? Can I speak to you for 2 minutes, or whatever else? Always be careful whenever you are making audio calls. Make a point that you mute yourself if when you're not speaking. If there are more than 2 or 3 people on the call, make sure that you are in a good network coverage area. Make sure that you don't walk, talk, or eat or don't move quite a lot when you're speaking on the phone, because these days the kind of headphones that we use, the pods that we use, they're extremely sensitive to noise, and all this can create a lot of disturbance if there are other people who are speaking on the phone. So always make sure that you mute yourselves if you're not participating in that particular conversation. About video calls, we will come to it separately later in the session. But you need to understand that video calls are absolutely live, dynamic, and it's an interactive experience. So we need to get ready for it. We need to schedule our times accordingly. You need to follow the time. In the online world, trust me, this is the best way to communicate, and the faster we brace ourselves for it, it is going to be better. Okay. अब ये तो हो गया channels के बारे में. But when you're speaking, you also need to understand your audience. What is the kind of people that you are talking with? So, mota moti, there are these 5 types of people that can be segregated. So you need to at least understand in your first interaction with a person that how is this person, what category does he fall under, how is he like an individual. So when you're meeting somebody for the first time and you know that you are going to keep meeting this person henceforward in your life, you need to analyze the other person as well. Okay, so let's take a look at what are these different kinds of people that fall under these categories. Number 1 are the charismatics. So they are the people who are easily intrigued by new ideas. They are open to try something new. They have come at a stage where they are because of trying out new things. Their experience has led them to explore quite a lot of new things. So these are the people who will always listen to you when you come up with new ideas, some crazy approaches, and some out of the box ideas. So these are the people who will always give you a ear, and they will use their experience to balance their decision making and utilizing the facts around them. So if there's a person who you know who has come to a certain stage by experimenting, he likes to try out new things, then you need to appeal to their head and their heart. Okay, you need to tell them how amazing this can be and how amazing results can this approach or this idea can fetch us. Then there are people who are thinkers. These are the people who are most difficult to convince. Why? Because they like to think, give a lot of thought to small things. They are the people who would want an argument that is very very well supported by data. They are the people who will take their own time to make a decision. So people who think quite a lot and who ask for a lot of proofs, a lot of data to support your argument, you might have to present your point to them in more than one ways, maybe a number of different times, just so that the other person thinks that yes, you really believe in something that you're trying to say, and that's why you are here to make your point or to make your argument. Okay. Then come the skeptics. Now the skeptics are the people who have a completely different view of the world. They are the people who will always look at things in a half empty perspective. They will always ask you the question, why do this? I mean, why not the other thing? Why not go by the way that I have been doing for so many years? Okay. So with these people, you need to be a little aggressive. You need to provide them with enough information, because they will always question each and every point that you make. So you need to be well versed while communicating with these people. The fourth type are the followers. Now these are the people who will always go back to the pages earlier, or who will always ask you who else is doing this. They want to know that somebody else has already done it and they have been successful in doing this. These are the people who will always be the last to come on board in terms of new trends, new ways of doing things. When you start interacting with your batchmates, you will find these people who are typically followers. They will always go to the earlier pages, see कि पहले वाले लोगों ने क्या लिखा है और फिर मैं अपना फॉर्म भरूंगा. Okay, so with these people, you need to tell them that so you need to understand they will never be ready to be a guinea pig in any experiment. Okay, so you need to tell them that which are the people who are already on board, which are the experts who are already using a particular product or a service, who are the people who are who are already supporting it, which competitors have used a particular product or a service. So, and who of them have successfully implemented it. Once you tell them कि दुनिया ये कर रही है, now it's time that we also need to do this, then these people will come on board. So these are the typical follower kind of people. And then are the controllers. Now these are the people who are all about their head and absolutely zero with their heart when it comes to decision making. They will always go with the decision only if it sounds logically correct to them. They are the people who will always focus on the data. They will think all the whats and ifs and buts and hows 10 times before they arrive at a decision or a conclusion. So whenever you are pitching into such people, speaking to such people, they are the ones who cannot stand any kind of ambiguity or uncertainty. So they might delay decisions in some cases, but as long as you feed them with the right data and you give them good amount of time, you will win over these people. So while, okay, chalo, abhi you understand, what kind of people they are and, how do they look at things, there are certain ways in which you need to have a strategic conversation or a strategic communication. So how do you do that? You need to, again, since you know the impact that you want to create on the other person, you need to be extremely open in your communication. You need to know what is the info that you have and what is the info that you can share. Like I said, mentioned earlier, make yourself a little vulnerable, open up yourself to the other person. Only then they will connect with you emotionally. Effective listening, something which is extremely important in communication. A lot of times it happens that the other person is talking, and what we, instead of paying attention to what the other person is saying, we think that yaar abhi main kya aage bolu. You think what is your next line going to be, instead of listening to the other person. So just stop doing that. If you're hearing the other person, take a pause once they've finished speaking. Take a little pause, analyze what they've said, maybe paraphrase a little bit for them, and then go on to what you have to say about it. This is called effective listening. Listening, being silent. Okay, listen by keeping your mind, heart, logic, everything absolutely silent without having any other thoughts in your mind, right? That is called effective listening. Then, of course, we will be having a complete session on how do you listen effectively. Now, discernment. What is discernment? Is the way you perceive the other person, or the way you are absorbing the information that you've been thrown at, right? So be sure that even when you are speaking, be sure that you are thinking of the person you are speaking, after thinking of a particular person from their perspective. Try to step into your listener's shoes and think how is that person going to perceive it, and then frame your statements accordingly. If you use a lot of jargons, if you put in a lot of information, then the other person is going to shut off. Okay, so try to think of the communication. Try to think of your point from the other person's perspective as well. And dialogue. A lot of people confuse between dialogue, discussion, and argument. Okay, a discussion eventually is done to it's more of a debate where you're trying to defend yourself or your opinion or your position. Whereas a dialogue is a shared agreement where you are emotionally tied to a subject. You're trying to understand the other person's perspective or other person's point of view. So always make sure that you keep your conversation, your communication as a dialogue and not an argument or a monologue. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky, but trust me, as in how you start talking to more and more people, start interacting with newer minds, newer individuals, you will understand the difference between a dialogue, discussion, and an argument. So what we need to do is have a dialogue. Now, a lot of times you will have to, communicate under pressure. All of us are under some pressure at some time or the other. And that's why most of the times it happens that, हमारे दिमाग में कुछ अलग बात चल रही है. You've had a maybe argument with your family, with your parents, with your sibling, and then you try to burst out in front of your friend, even though there's no right fault of the other person. So whenever you are under pressure, it becomes very, very essential to understand how you are going to speak to the other person. So for example, your faculty tells you that you are the class representative, and they've told you that you need to inform your batch that your exams were scheduled on the 21st of this month, but there has been a change, and instead of 21st, now the exams are being rescheduled and the exams begin on the 15th of the month. So you know that this is going to put a lot of pressure on your batchmates. They are going to run helter-skelter. They are going to think, यार ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है, ऐसे कैसे कर सकते हैं, and all of that. But it's done. I mean, the decision has been taken. You are the one to communicate this decision to your batch. So how will you do that? Or under any circumstances that you're under pressure. So you need to keep these 5 things in mind. Whenever you are speaking, even if you're under pressure, you need to portray certain confidence in your speech, in your body language. This goes a long way. You need to come across as a leader. You need to tell them that I know, I understand what you guys are feeling, but trust me, we will make through this very well. We will, sail this boat very nicely. We just need to have confidence in ourselves. make use of a relatable person. Try to try to give them a relatable situation. Try to give them a situation in which they can relate to. You can tell them a story, an anecdote, or motivate them कि ऐसे ऐसे situation इनको भी आई थी, and this is how they made out of it. I mean, they succeeded in it. So try to use relatable people, relatable positions to keep your to get your message across. Economic sense, this might not be of help to you right now, but further down the line in your career, whenever you are speaking to somebody, always make sure that you don't really speak about the finances or money under any circumstances whatsoever. And in the end, you need to portray a good professional and a positive attitude, at the same time expressing empathy, that you understand that this is a pressurizing situation, but again, yes, we will come out of it. So but however, when you're doing this, you need to understand that you don't over communicate. You have to make sure that you are intentionally positive. No matter what the situation is, don't take the track of negative talks, any negative happenings around you. Try to be as positive as possible. Offer suggestions, offer help to the person, but don't criticize them, because the other person is already under stress, they're already under pressure. So make sure that you make helpful suggestions and not critiques, because then that will agitate the person furthermore. But in certain times, it is equally essential for you to be silent. Silence is extremely impactful. It is extremely important, and it can make or break things, right? So when to be and when not to be silent. Okay. So when you are in a face-to-face interaction, silence is highly effective, because your body language, the fact that you're there with the other person, but you're silent, speaks a lot, speaks volumes. Okay. Don't be obligated to react to emotional experiences. If somebody is having a breakdown, just be there with them. You don't need to say anything. Please don't try to lighten the mood with humor. You don't know the situation of the other person. So cracking a joke is not a good idea in such times. Okay. All you need to do is you need to demonstrate respect. You need to try to connect with the other person emotionally, and probably acknowledge that yes, you're listening with your facial expressions, with a gentle nod. That is enough of a sign for the other person to know that yes, you are understanding. And when not to be silent. Silence can be destructive. If somebody is on the phone with you and you are absolutely not reacting anything, so it can be destructing at times. Filling in awkward silences, please don't do this. Please don't try to fill in awkward silences by humor or sarcasm or something irrelevant. It is better to just use words like yes, I understand, paraphrasing it back, yes, I am listening. This also helps the other person to soothe down a little, calm down a little. By paraphrasing or rephrasing what the other person is saying, makes them realize that yes, you are really paying attention to what they're trying to say. Acknowledge the pause. If they are taking a pause, this is the time when you can probably say that it's okay, it'll be all right, just take one day at a time. So these things can actually help you pacify the other person who's probably under pressure, just by staying silent or using your body language in a way that pacifies the other person. So speaking of non-verbal communication, which is the last part of today's session. Now, I was telling you that yes, being silent helps, but in that your body language, your gestures, your facial expressions also go a long way. So what are the different cues that you need to catch under body language? So it begins with your facial expressions, your body movement, your appearance, your grooming, your personal space, your backgrounds in a visual interaction. So let's take a look at these one after the other very quickly. So facial expressions. We Indians, or especially we Indians, are made very, very expressive. Okay. So even if people say that expressions and your face does not say really a lot, trust me, your face says a lot about how you're feeling, what you're going through, what is going on in your mind. It says a lot about you. I mean, here are just 16 examples of different facial expressions. There are absolutely many more. I would want all of you to maybe stand in front of the mirror and try reacting to a situation in different ways. You will yourself realize how expressive you are, right? And expressions can just not be given with your faces, but we use a lot of emojis these days, a lot of emoticons. We have this habit of smart app messaging, wherein we end up using these. But trust me, these are not a good idea to use in emails or in a formal conversation with somebody senior. Okay, you need to, it is okay between colleagues, between friends, but definitely not with your clients, with your faculty, with your teachers. Not a good idea. It just dilutes the entire intensity of the conversation. Okay, so as long as you want to keep it very informal, casual, chit chat, hi, hello with your friends, it's absolutely fine. But when you're doing it on a serious platform, please don't dilute the intensity or the impact by using emojis. Now you will say that abhi aajkal kidhar dikhta hai, we are using a mask all the time. So I have an activity for you. I want you all after the session to put on your mask and take a selfie of yourself. Now, the first selfie should be with your, with a straight face. You're looking straight into the camera and take a selfie. And the second selfie with your mask on. But this time I want you to smile nice and wide. You will yourself realize that even though you're wearing a mask, your facial expressions say a lot of what is actually in your mind or what you're trying to do. Okay, so even though we are wearing a mask, your expressions are easily caught. So don't fool yourself and fool others by wearing a mask कि कुछ नहीं समझ रहा है, बहुत कुछ समझता है. And then comes your body language. So if I have to give you some examples that the way I am speaking to you right now, you might have seen me use a little bit of gestures. I was counting numbers on my fingers and all of that. So that is doing gestures, using your hand movements is good to certain extent. If you overdo it, then you will be mocked, just like a few journalists are mocked because they use a lot of hand gestures. They do a lot of hand movements in front of their face as if, they don't want others to see their face. Okay, it's all you can see is their hands. And since I'm doing that right now, it can be very, very distracting and a very disturbing image in front of you, right? So please try not doing that. Okay, so this was a little bit about how to use your hands and your gestures. But there are a few other things. So for example, if you're going for an interview, please don't sit with your legs crossed. Okay, it shows that you're being disrespectful to the other person. If you are if you are in a conversation and you're looking around, it is extremely disrespectful for the people who are sitting in front of you. So for example, if I'm giving you a session and all I'm doing is looking around, looking out of the window, idhar kaun hai mere office mein, kya chal raha hai, and all of that, you guys will not connect with me because I am not looking at you, right? For people to connect with each other, they need to look at each other. So when you're speaking to somebody, try looking straight into the eyes of the other person and not here and there noticing either kaun sa couch hai and kaun sa flower pot hai aur khidki mein se kya dikh raha hai. Okay, so try avoiding that all the time. You always need to sit back on your chair. You should always be sitting straight, your chin up. You should never fold your hands whenever you're sitting in front of somebody senior, because that shows that you are extremely arrogant. It shows a bad attitude. Leaning back on your chair or resting in a formal environment is a complete no-no. Make your pauses speak for themselves. Take pauses whenever you're speaking, because you should give time to the other person also to reflect, to think on what you have been saying all this while. Okay. Now, so this was a little bit about body language. We will be looking at this in better detail in another session. Okay, so there's a question by somebody. I'm just going to take that if a person who is elder to me and scolding you for no reason, so should I be silent there if I haven't done anything that made that person upset? Okay, in such situations, stay calm. Let the other person say whatever they're trying to say. Let them get it out of their system once and for all. If somebody is agitated with you, trust me, never ever interrupt them, because that is going to fumigate them even more. So just stay calm. Unka ek baar khatam ho jane do. In your mind, start making notes point by point that okay, this is what they've said, this is what they are saying, this is what they are saying. Once they are done speaking, then you ask them that may I speak, or do you have anything more to say? And mind you that there shouldn't be any kind of sarcasm in your response. You have to be extremely calm, extremely polite, and very very respectful towards the other person. So you ask them that okay, I understand what you're trying to say here. So if you don't have want to add anything more, may I speak? And then point after point you try to tell them that this really wasn't my mistake. Okay, and at the end of it, if you think that the other person is just not convinced or just not in the right frame of mind, you can tell them that okay, this is what you have said, this is what I had to say. I think both of us are in a different state of mind right now. So let's just cool it down a bit. Let's just take a time out and probably speak about this tomorrow, or maybe a couple of hours. And still, if it does not work out, then you just need to put your foot down. That I know as a matter of fact that I haven't done anything wrong. Still, if you think that if me not accepting or not agreeing with what you have said, just for the sake of that, I am ready to apologize. But I know deep within my heart that I wasn't wrong, and I would be more than happy to prove myself to you in any way possible. So just end the conversation. Don't drag such situations out of proportion. Don't blow it up out of proportions, because if the other person is adamant, if they have made up their mind, you can't really go beyond a certain point to change their mind. Okay, so just try to end that situation as soon as possible. Okay. So, okay, moving on. So, I was telling you that appearance matters. I'm sure all of you must have seen this image on WhatsApp, Facebook, everywhere, that the difference between an audio only Zoom meeting and a video only Zoom meeting. So, trust me, even if it's not just an audio only meeting, you dressing up, looking good, being presentable, and sitting for a session makes a lot of difference. If you are going to be in your pajamas lying on your bed, no matter what the other person is trying to tell you, even if they get like a world class speaker, a motivational speaker to talk to you, you are not going to be able to connect with them or absorb them or understand them, because you are not in the right set of mind or set of frame of mind. Okay, so only when you will realize that maybe for the next session you get all dressed up, you look nice, you look presentable, are sitting on a table with your laptop or a phone switched on, it is going to make a lot of difference in the way you perceive or understand things. So it's time to get up, dress up, and be out there. Similarly, in your video calls, whenever you have your videos on, or you just have your maybe your display image, make sure you have a very very professional image with a decent background. People do not like to see disruptive or distracting images. Okay, so just that, I mean, just try to keep it as formal, or as I would say as simple as possible, with least distractions for yourself as well as the people along with you in the session. Your voice is your identity these days when we are in the online world. So you need to keep a watch at your tone, at your volume, at your pitch, at the speed in which you are speaking. Okay, so all these things play a major role. Try to reduce any kind of background noises which you can control. If there are if your parents are watching TV in another room, ask them to lower the volume. Shut your doors. Try to have as less as background disturbance as you can whenever you are attending online sessions, or even when you are in a face-to-face meeting. Now, which one would you take seriously, the left one or the right one? So all of us we know of the airport looks, right? But it is imperative for you to put a little bit of thought on how you want to be perceived by the people around you, right? So most of y'all, I'm sure, can absolutely say that yes, you will probably take the person on the right more seriously, right? Correct. So now, if I tell you this, which one would you take more seriously, the one on the left or one on the right? Both of them are suited for formal occasions here. Both of them are in nice, crisp suits, in matching suits, but the way they are standing says a lot about them. Okay, if you are standing on both your feet, if your hands are gestured in a particular way, the way your face is, it is going to speak volumes about you, okay, than the fact that you are leaning onto something, you are taking support of something. Just tells that you are probably not as confident as you want the other persons to look at you. Okay, so a lot of thought should go into how you want to present yourself in front of the audience. Now, amongst these, which one would you take more seriously? Both of them are world class citizens. They are millionaires, billionaires. They are the most successful people. They are doing a lot for the society, for the people around them, a lot of helping a lot of causes. But you would probably might not differentiate between them, because these people, more than paying attention to branded clothes or fancy cars or whatever, they chose their identity to be their work more than the way they are dressing. So both of them are very, very simply dressed. They are sitting alongside a road. They're sitting on the footpath, but still look at the humbleness that is seen on their face. There is no attitude. Both these couples are absolutely the best people in the world to look up to. But what makes them stand out of the clutter is the work that they are doing for the society. And that's exactly what we should learn from people like these. So whenever you are communicating with people, you need to make sure that you do not fidget. You need to keep your heads up, your chin straight, your chin up. You need to face the other person. Do not touch or scratch yourselves. Especially for the girls, leave your hair alone. Do not drink from the bottle. Always keep a mug or a glass of coffee, water, whatever it is you're drinking. Ditch the bottle. Do not drink from the bottle if you're in a meeting or whatever it is. Stand or sit still. Do not do a lot of body movements. Hold strong eye contact and fix your video once and for all. It does not look good if you are constantly moving your screen. Okay, so you need to fix all these things right before you begin your session. So we are already at 12, so I'm just gonna run through a few things. One thing that I want to tell you, that good English does not make you a good communicator. You need to understand that English is a language and communication is a skill. Okay, English एक भाषा है और communication एक कला है. You can be excellent communicators in any other language as well. Okay, so don't hesitate to speak to people even if you cannot speak good English. Be comfortable in whichever language you are. You can be great communicators. Trust me. So before presenting a point, always keep in mind that have a thorough knowledge on the subject. but always keep some scope for discussion. Don't give all out everything at the same time. Okay, keep something to yourself. Moving on to, we'll skip this, we'll do this in the next session. We're running out of time right now. So all I want to tell you, I have a couple of questions also that you guys have asked. Okay, so all I want to tell you is that what makes you a great communicator is your knowledge, your authenticity, and your confidence. As long as you have all these things in place, trust me, you will be amazing at having communications, right? So I have a question. I'm going to answer that, and then if you guys have any other questions, you can start putting it in the chat box. So somebody says that she feels very awkward to speak in front of the camera, like we have to make video for your assignment. How should I be more comfortable in front of the camera? The answer to this is practice. Practice, practice, and only practice. Keep your camera on. Try to look into the lens and speak. Make about 5, 10, 20 such introductory videos or whatever is your assignment. Only then you will be confident in front of the camera. Even more, if you don't want to practice it in front of the camera, I would suggest get your family, sit in front of you, ask them to give your introduction, whatever your assignment is, whatever you want to speak. I would suggest that speak that in front of them, and you just need to keep practicing it. There is no way out, or no alternative, or no substitute for practice for such things. So yeah, that's about it from my side. If you guys have any other questions, you can put it in the chat box, and or else over to you, Anupam sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry, I had to rush
for this
today because there was a lot to cover in a lot less time. So yeah.
No, that's okay, ma'am. That's okay. That's completely fine. Students, I think now we can have the question answer session round. So anybody has any questions, you can put that on the chat box. Any questions?
Okay, so from being an introvert as Leonard to reach to Penny's level of confidence, how do I go about that? Okay, great. So I think she's taken a cue from last week's session and asked the question this time. Okay, so great question. I would just say that read more, interact with as many people as possible, because what happens with introverts is that they prefer talking to people who they know initially. They generally hesitate to break the ice to start a conversation with new people. So what you can do right away is start interacting with neighbors who you've never spoken to, or maybe your friends with whom you've lost touch. Could be your school friends with whom you've not spoken to for say the last 3-4 years. You can start a casual conversation with them. It can be over Facebook or Instagram or whatever channel you prefer to have that communication on. It could be an informal communication, but yeah, try to reignite conversations with people who you've kind of not had, you've not been in touch with over the last few years, or just simply people around you who you've never met. So try introducing them. Try to go to your neighbor's house. You can visit them maybe with a small cupcake and say that, hi, I'm your neighbor. How are you doing? What is it that you do? How many of you? What's the kind of family that lives with you in your house? So small things can actually go a long way. Just by calling up long lost relatives whom you've not been in touch with in the pandemic. So interacting with more and more people, and now that you've started interacting with more people, you will of course need a lot of topics to talk about. So I would just recommend that keep reading, stay up to date with the current affairs, read books, and this will just help you to have interesting conversations with people you've not been in touch with. So yeah, I hope that will help you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that.
And trust me, once you come to IIEBM, you'll forget what being an introvert is, because you'll all be staying together as a family. So yeah, you'll just forget that you were ever an introvert before. Right, sir? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, ma'am. Right, ma'am. So students, all you students are requested to put these, what do you call, feedback, right? I'll be sharing you the feedback link, and there is a small assignment by ma'am. So the assignment link also I'm sharing right away. So please note down the links, and please update the assignment and the feedback on the same. I have just shared. Here is the link for the assignment towards the right, and also the link for the feedback form for the today's session. So thank you, ma'am. Thanks a ton for today's session, and definitely they'll all learn. And students, please don't forget to finish the assessment, because that helps us in understanding what have you learned from the session, and also it helps us to draft and articulate the next session, so which is more helpful for you.
Yes, thank you so
Thank you,
much,
ma'am.
sir.
Thanks a ton for today's session.
Bye, students. Let us know if you have any
Thank you,
doubts,
ma'am.
questions. We'd love to answer those. Thank you. Bye.